You assume you are awake because your senses agree on a shared world. Dreams, by contrast, dissolve when morning comes. From this, you conclude that one state is real. The other false. Ibn Arabi questioned this certainty. He asked whether the same consciousness that dreams also sustains waking life. If all experience arises within awareness, can one mode be more real than another? Perhaps what you call waking is only a steadier form of dream-structured, predictable, but still unfolding inside the same field of knowing. You begin to wonder, when you say, "I am awake," who is the one making that claim? If the witness of waking and dreaming never sleeps, then what exactly does it mean to awaken? Ibn Arabi described existence as a vast dream through which the real perceives itself. Every creature, thought, and event appears as a temporary form within that single awareness. He did not mean the world is an illusion to be dismissed, but that its mode of being is dependent, not independent. It exists as meaning within divine consciousness, not apart from it. From this view, awakening is not an escape from the dream, but a recognition that the dream belongs to the real. What seems fragmented is held together by the one who dreams it. If reality itself is dreamlike, what boundary remains between truth and imagination? You divide experience into perceiver and perceived. Language demands it. I see, I think, I act. Yet before words, perception simply is in both waking and dreaming. Awareness arises first. The distinction between subject and object appears later, as thought. Ibn Arabi called this division the veil that sustains forgetfulness. When you see the perception is a single act, not two sides, you glimpse the unity beneath experience. The habit of duality returns quickly, for the mind depends on contrast. Still, once you notice its mechanism, the question lingers. If seeing and seen are one, who maintains their separation? You imagine yourself as the dreamer of inner worlds, shaping memories or desires. But Ibn Arabi reverses the relation. The self you believe to be the dreamer is also being dreamed. The true dreamer is the real consciousness, expressing itself through countless forms. The I you protect is a scene within that expression, not its source. When you say, "I dream," it is the real perceiving itself through the configuration called you. Awakening, then, is not mastery over experience, but surrender to its origin. If the one you call I is also dreamed, can the dream awaken itself? Throughout each day, states alternate: wakefulness, imagination, sleep. Each holds coherence while it lasts, yet each fades into another. What remains constant through these changes? The witnessing awareness that observes the sequence but never participates in it. Ibn Arabi named this continuity the constant one, the aspect of being untouched by alternation. To awaken, then, is not to alter states, but to know the awareness that underlies them all. The question grows sharper. If the witness never sleeps, what is it that claims to wake and rest? For Ibn Arabi, dreams are not deception, but revelation expressed in symbolic order. Every image or event, whether in sleep or waking life, corresponds to meanings in the unseen. The waking intellect interprets directly. The dreaming intellect interprets through symbols. Both reveal facets of truth. Hence, to dismiss the dream as unreal is to deny a language of knowledge subtler than reason. The wise learn to read the dream of existence as instruction rather than fantasy. If understanding can emerge within illusion, does the distinction between truth and dream still hold its force? You experience yourself as the origin of perception. Yet Ibn Arabi said the self is not an origin but a reflection, an appearance, through which the real knows itself. The sense of individuality arises when the reflection forgets its dependence. To awaken is to recognize that every personal identity is relational, not absolute. When the reflection understands its source, it does not vanish. It becomes transparent to what shines through it. In that moment, individuality remains, but ownership dissolves. If the self is only relation, who stands apart to call it mine? Awakening, in Ibn Arabi's view, is not a transition from one state to another. It is recognition, the realization that the witness of all states was never asleep. Time belongs to the dream, not to the witness. What unfolds as growth or progress is simply the gradual unveiling of what always was. When the search for awakening ends, awakening begins not as an event, but as clarity. Nothing new occurs except the cessation of misunderstanding. You begin to see that every moment of confusion was already contained within awareness itself. If awakening is timeless, who waited for it to arrive? Ibn Arabi taught a discipline grounded in remembrance. Awareness must return, again and again, to its source until return becomes continuous. Each thought becomes an inquiry. Who perceives this? Each action, a reminder. Through whom does it occur? This practice is not withdrawal, but participation without forgetfulness. Through constant recollection, the boundary between self and the real grows thin, then disappears. When remembrance becomes natural, there is no longer a self that remembers, only awareness remembering itself. At that point, the dream persists. Yet the dreamer and the dream coincide. What remains to be sought, once seeking itself, has merged with knowing. When every distinction between waking and dreaming is seen as a mental construction, you approach non-difference. The dream does not cease. Its transparency increases. Ibn Arabi called this the true awakening, seeing that all appearances are disclosures of the real, none outside its being. The sense of separation fades, not by effort, but by insight. There was never a gap to close. The dream continues. Yet no dreamer stands apart to judge it. If only the real perceives, can there still be an other to awaken? At last, reasoning rests. You see that every movement of thought and perception unfolds within one changeless awareness. Nothing needs to be silenced. It was silent all along beneath interpretation. Ibn Arabi called this the completion of awakening. Understanding without contrast, clarity without effort. The seeker does not disappear. The search loses relevance. What remains is self-luminous knowing without direction, without end. The dream and the awakening are now one expression of the same truth. You realize that you were never inside or outside any state. You were the field in which all states appeared. What else could awakening mean? The reflection begins with a simple opposition, waking and dreaming. Through Ibn Arabi's reasoning, that opposition unravels. Both are seen as movements within one awareness. The exploration passes through duality, identity, and remembrance, revealing that what changes is only comprehension, never reality itself. By the end, awakening is no longer an event to reach, but the recognition that the witness of every state has always been awake. Dreaming, waking, seeking, and finding become aspects of a single act of knowing. The journey closes in quiet, understanding. Nothing needs to awaken because the real never slept.